We get another animated Disney classic brought to life this week, so what are the best? Let's take a look. Snow White gets its live-action remake this week, and while it's not one of my favorite stories, I am looking forward to seeing how they recreate the original Disney animated film. We've now had 22 live-action films based off animated properties from Disney, with Snow White being the 23rd. And a whole host of films are on the way, such as Lilo and Stitch, which we've gotten a trailer for now, Moana, that's being produced by The Rock and will star him, a Guy Ritchie-directed Hercules film, and a Questlove-directed Aristocrats film, among many more. There have been some great live-action films, and there have been some that have been, well, less than stellar. So let's jump into the 5 that I think are the best. So I think you have to accomplish 2 things with these remakes. First, you have to leave the older people who enjoyed the original satisfied, and make it good enough that a child who doesn't know the source material can still leave and think fondly of it and want to watch it again on Disney+. I think The Little Mermaid from a couple of years ago did the latter. When my wife and I saw it, all of the kids in a packed-out theater on opening weekend seemed to love it. I think it did a great job of being the story we all love, but for a new generation. I do love that these films continue to have new life breathed into them from Disney, the people behind the scenes, and the people that are cast in the film. But for me, it did accomplish the old nostalgia hit too. Sure, it's a different movie than we grew up with, but I don't want just the same old, or I can just go back and watch the original. I want a fresh new take on a beloved story, and I do think this was it. I think Halle Bailey did a good job as Ariel, and I think Melissa McCarthy was a good Ursula. I do wish Harry Styles had played Eric. That would have made it much higher in my book, but he turned it down in favor of touring and wanting darker, non-musical roles. I don't think Jonah Hauer-King was bad. He's not Harry Styles. My biggest complaint with it, though, was if you add original songs, they better be good and fit with the originals that are all classics. I did not like the new Lin-Manuel Miranda songs, and The Scuttlebutt may be one of the worst Disney songs ever. It's one of the only things that sticks in my mind from this movie because it was so bad and out of place for what the movie was. Beautiful songs from Ariel and a love story that stands the test of time. And then Awkwafina comes in as a bird and starts like scream rapping. I was like, whap, chicka, whap, whap, chicka, whap. What the hell was that? That's a big no for me, and that puts it further down the list. 4th on the list is Beauty and the Beast from 2017. This is the second highest grossing remake at just under $1.3 billion worldwide. Emma Watson was a few years removed from Harry Potter and still kind of looking for that next big thing, and I think she got it with Beauty and the Beast. I thought Dan Stevens did a good job as Beast, but my main criticism is with Luke Evans as Gaston. I thought he was just okay. I don't dislike Luke Evans. I like some of the work he does. He just didn't do it for me in this role. I really don't know why. However, I do think Josh Gad was a perfect LeFou to complement him. The voice cast I thought was great, and I did like how they all actually ended up playing the roles at the end when they were all made human again, so it wasn't just a voice role, it was a role they were actually committed to. I think it's faithful enough to the source material while also being fresh enough for a new audience and a new age, so I think it accomplishes the old nostalgia and the new fresh story angle as well. I'm actually more of a fan of the stage production of Beauty and the Beast than the animated version, but I think this actually honored both of those. The third highest grossing of the live-action films at $1.05 billion is Aladdin, and it's one I didn't think could be done the right way thanks to its kind of over-the-top nature with Genie, but it actually ended up working out pretty well. I think Guy Ritchie did a good job with it, and Will Smith was a great Genie. Who knows if we'll ever get the sequel or not? I hope we do, but this one was well done. Mina Masu was good in the lead role as well, but between his Twitter comments over The Little Mermaid and Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars, the 2 stars aren't really doing much to help this movie's legacy. Number 2 on the list is The Lion King from 2019. This is the highest grossing live-action remake and was directed by Jon Favreau and done pretty well in my opinion. I know Favreau came out and said, look, it's not just a shot-for-shot remake, but even if there were some new scenes and the film's a good bit longer, I ultimately left feeling it was essentially the same, whereas I felt other live-action remakes did some work to make things different. That's the main reason this is not number 1 for me. But the first film is perfection and the story is perfection, so I won't complain too much about that. I do think it accomplished the goal of old and young alike being able to enjoy it. However, with it not being anything new, it was kind of critically divisive with a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'd understand it being a little lower for some people because of that. I just love the original. It's one of my favorites of all time, and I'm going to pretty much enjoy this story in any format. I very much like the voice cast in it. Donald Glover was great in the main role of Simba. I thought Chiwetel Ejiofor fit Scar, John Oliver fit Zazu, and I'm sad he didn't come back from Mufasa. And then Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen nailed Timon and Pumbaa for a new age. Everyone really did fit their roles, including Beyonce and, of course, James Earl Jones, who was the original Mufasa. Number 1 on the list, also directed by Jon Favreau, is 2016's The Jungle Book, and this is by far the best, in my opinion. This was the first almost exclusively photorealistic animated film that Disney did, since it's basically all animals minus Mowgli. It won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects and earned it, and it grossed almost $1 billion worldwide. It featured probably the best overall voice cast, with Ben Kingsley, Idris Elba, Christopher Walken, Scarlett Johansson, Bill Murray, and so many more. Jon Favreau is responsible for so many great things that Disney has done, including The Lion King and The Jungle Book, and of course, kicked off the MCU with Iron Man. He's produced all the Avengers movies, he created the Mandalorian TV show, wrote most of its episode, and is directing the Mandalorian and Grogu movie as well. He's the one person with Disney, as people talk about Star Wars falling off or the MCU falling off, that if he wants any role within that company, he should be in charge of literally anything and everything Disney has to offer. And I would put that on the animation side and live action remakes as well. While I liked Iron Man and Iron Man 2, the two movies that really put me over the top for Jon Favreau was Chef in 2014 and then The Jungle Book in 2016. So if he's attached to anything, I'm going to watch it and probably like it. The other thing with The Jungle Book is that it's a story that's been told so many times. There have been, by my count, 17 movies and 8 TV shows that have been told off the original Jungle Book source material from 1894. But this, by far, stands out as the best, in my opinion. Now, the original animated movie is very good as well, but I actually probably like this one even better. The one movie that just missed the cut is Cruella. I liked it, and I thought Emma Stone did a good job in the lead role, but I'm really not a huge 101 Dalmatians fan, and there are 3 live-action films, and none of them made the list. But I would be interested if they ever do end up getting a sequel done. Also just missing is Mufasa. I mentioned The Lion King at number 2, and that's a perfect story. I didn't think Mufasa was bad. I just don't care for this story. I think the original Lion King is perfection, and the live-action version was good. I just think it should be left alone after that. So what are your favorite live-action Disney remakes, and where do you think Snow White will fall, not only with everybody's opinion, but at the box office as well? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Pop Culture Life for my Snow White review, our Out of the Theater reactions, more pop culture picks, and so much more.